And I have the great pleasure of inviting to the stage my colleague and co-founder of StarChain Ventures, Jordan Woods. We are working on solving pressing challenges globally with the advanced technology trifecta, blockchain, AI, and IoT. Jordan is a 3-time successful entrepreneur and has founded companies in many, many different areas, but he has pioneered key areas around technologies and virtual worlds and the metaverse. And I think, Jordan, you've been waiting maybe 15 years or so for this moment in time when it's just the perfect storm of all of the things that you've been involved with in your past. I just wanted to add that, you know, all of this I know is just kind of like child's play, I would say. You're a Caltech trained astrophysicist. And so, you know, coming from a background where you've worked with cosmology models, a lot of this is just kind of a lot of fun for you. And so I think, you know, I want to introduce you to the rest of the panel, or you to introduce the rest of the panel, but we're super excited to have you here. And this is going to be an amazing panel discussion on the digital revolution, ownership revolution, and the metaverse. So over to you, Jordan, and exciting panel ahead.
Yeah, thanks so much, Radhika. We're really looking forward to an awesome panel here. We have an amazing group of people, and they're all experts and practitioners in the field. So without further ado, I'd like them to introduce themselves, and maybe we could get kicked off with Miko. Miko, can you give us, you know, maybe 30 seconds on yourself?
Absolutely. I'm a general partner with GCC or Gumi Cryptos Capital. And as far as metaverse and blockchain, we're a lead of the Series A strategic with OpenSea, and we're also a seed stage investor in Yield Guild Gaming or YGG. And we just recently invested in a seed stage deal called D Horizon, which is a massively multiplayer online role-playing blockchain game. So, you know, we're excited about the space, and, you know, I'm excited to be here.
Thanks, Miko. We're looking forward to, you know, more discussions about gaming and the metaverse. So Neda, can you give us like 30 seconds on yourself and Christie's?
Sure. Hi there. I'm Neda Whitney. I'm SVP and Head of Marketing Americas at Christie's. I came to Christie's with 20 years background in marketing and advertising, and was really excited to jump on board at an inflection point in the company when we were really adopting new digital strategies, and then started adopting NFTs as a huge marketplace for our firm. And we've done over $1 million in sales in NFTs year to date, and are continuing to really lean into the space. So excited to talk to the team about it today and the progress we've made as a firm.
Yeah, that was a great NFT and metaverse event yesterday. So thanks for putting that on. Let's go over to Mickey. Can you tell us a bit about Dapper and Flow, Mickey?
Hey, thanks, Jordan. I'm Mickey Maher. I'm SVP of Platform Partnerships at Dapper Labs. Dapper Labs is really a combination of a couple things. We have a studio called Dapper Studio. Dapper Studio essentially invented the NFT as it's known today, and wrote the ERC 721 standard on Ethereum to create CryptoKitties. And you know, we've since created NBA Top Shot, signed deals with Dr. Seuss, the NFL, La Liga, and we'll continue to build amazing blockchain projects. And where we're going to build those blockchain projects or applications is our layer 1 blockchain that we've created called Flow. Flow is really the only layer 1 blockchain created with mass market adoption, gaming, and entertainment in mind from the ground up. And that's really where our bread and butter is mass market scalability and bringing in, you know, the first 100 million, if not billion, users to the blockchain through entertainment.
Yeah, very, very exciting. And I'll have a little primer for about 2 minutes, and we'll talk about all the cool stuff that's happened so far this year. And you know, Dapper has been a big part of that. Allison, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and Genies?
Yes, absolutely. Hey guys, I'm part of the founding team at Genies, and I oversee global partnerships and how we work with brands and IP and entering our ecosystem of avatars and avatar wearable NFTs. For Genies, really at our core, we're an avatar technology company. We really see avatars as a tool for expression in the metaverse and really that identity layer of the metaverse. Over the past few years, we've been representing 99% of the celebrity avatar market share, empowering artists, athletes, influencers to use their genies in the digital world. And later this year, we'll actually be releasing our genies for everyone, allowing anyone to create their own 3D genies, use across all their favorite apps and platforms as that identity layer. And then also in partnership with Dapper Labs, we'll be launching our avatar wearable NFT Marketplace, which will allow fans and users to own and collect avatar wearable NFTs from their favorite celebrities, brands, IP, even our own Genies wearables, to really customize and own these digital assets, providing real utility for them as well.
Great. So for all of you in the audience who are familiar with online video games, especially the massively multiplayer type, what is the first thing you do is you make your avatar, right? So that you can go and run around in the world. And so as we get into the metaverse, it's going to be similar. Well, with that, there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of hype and speculation about what is the metaverse. Also, what is an NFT, right? And can you talk about it and explain it in like 5 words? So that is all possible. And I have just a quick presentation so that we can get everybody on the same page really fast. So let me run through this in the next couple of minutes. And we're going to be talking about the digital ownership revolution and the metaverse. So a non-fungible token, or an NFT, is really a deed of trust or a verifiable proof of ownership for a unique or rare digital item. What we've seen is a lot of digital images, and maybe you've heard about songs or videos, like in the case of NBA Top Shot, becoming NFTs. But it could be avatar accessories, it could be documents, it really can be virtually, and that's in the virtual world, anything. So that's really what an NFT is. It's really a proof of ownership, and it uses the blockchain, right? A blockchain. The metaverse, if you're familiar with Snow Crash or Ready Player One, these are science fiction novels. They really saw this future where we wouldn't be living in a 2D world online, we'd be living in a 3D world online. And so we have an avatar, we run around, we do things in the world like in the real world that we inhabit. We can own things, we can buy things, we can sell things, we can talk with people just like we normally do. And there's going to be different on-ramps into it. And that's the metaverse. It's just an online world that's 3D, and it's persistent, permanent, and it's got a lot of cool stuff that's coming. So what really happened with NFTs? Well, if you've been following it, last year there were tens of millions of dollars of NFTs sold. This year, things kind of exploded, right? So at the beginning of the year, Christie sold an NFT that people put out for sale for about 69 million. And that just started people, turning their heads, because that made Beeple the third highest living artist, in terms of value sold for a single transaction. Then, if you look at Q1, about $1.5 billion in NFT trading took place, and Dapper Labs with NBA Top Shot did about a third of that, with 500 million in transactions. Then if you moved into the first half, we were about 2.5 billion in NFTs. But then in August of this year, OpenSea, which Miko talked about as one of these marketplaces, it did $3.4 billion in transactions just in that month. And then if you look at Q3, we moved up to 10.7 billion. So here we moved from tens of millions last year to now tens of billions. And so this is like 1,000-fold increase in terms of the value of NFTs sold. And if you look at these NFT marketplaces, they're like a lot of different things. There's OpenSea, which is this marketplace that we talked about. can see here their weekly volume is almost $1 billion. Axie Infinity, which we'll talk about, it's a a virtual world. It's a game in the play to earn space. They did 130 million in a week. If you've heard about CryptoPunks or other particular collectibles and collections, they're doing on the order of tens of millions of dollars a week. And there's a bunch of other projects and marketplaces out there that are doing significant amounts of sales, right? So this is just growing and growing and exploding over the course of the year. So what do NFTs really have to do with the metaverse? And the metaverse, people are saying it's big, it's coming, it's $1 trillion opportunity. If you've seen some of the things that Mark Zuckerberg has talked about, he says he wants to make Facebook into a metaverse company. A lot of people see that the currency and a lot of the things that will be bought and sold in the metaverse are going to be NFTs, because you can actually own them, and there's proof of ownership and there's provenance. The big brands are starting to get in. The gaming universe is turning to NFTs and building out metaverse on-ramps and entry points. Everybody is now becoming a metaverse company. And then if you look at the influencers and the brands and the creator economy, you have everyone from Camila Cabello and Paris Hilton and Priyanka investing in avatar startup companies like Genies. Visa bought a CryptoPunk for 150,000. Now they're talking about going out and helping people understand NFTs and the multiverse and the metaverse. D&G, Louis Vuitton, and Burberry's are all, getting in with NFTs and with games. Snoop Dogg revealed he's an NFT whale. He's got a collection of over $17 million in NFTs. So this is a bit of what's been going on. And so now I want to turn to the panel and maybe turn to Mickey first and say, why 2021? 2017, we had CryptoKitties. What came together? What made 2021 so big? Why have we gotten this 1,000-fold increase?
NBA Top Shot.
Nice and simple.
Any
other
true.
things?
It's true. Our goal at Dapper has always been to bring blockchain to the mainstream. And there's no better way to bring something to the mainstream than to partner with a brand or an IP that already has a built-in fan base of over 1 billion global people. So, early in the year, NBA Top Shot exploded, went bonkers, was the fastest growing marketplace in the history of anything. And it brought in a mass market consumer, and it put NFTs, NFT collecting and purchasing on the map, much like we did with the initial NFT rush, with the creation of the NFT in CryptoKitties. We brought in the first bull run of NFT collecting and NFT projects, and then we doubled down on that with NBA Top Shot to a much, much greater level. So there are many notable projects, many successful projects that have spun up and have done great over the course of this year. But we were the launch pad, I would say. NBA Top Shot was the launch pad of all of this.
Okay, that's a great view. Neda, do you have a view of what really happened here?
Yeah, I think, listen, Dapper Labs and Top Shot was certainly a launch pad. I think Christie's and the sale of Beeple in March at 69.3 million was such a watershed moment in the media, and being able to get that type of a price, as you mentioned, one of the third highest price for a living artist for a digital piece of artwork, really thrust digital art into the limelight and the legitimacy of NFTs and digital art, while Mickey and his team had been doing the Lord's work with the masses and what they've been doing with NBA Top Shots. I think at Christie's, we kind of took it to a different level and a different echelon, saying like, this can be competitive with, the Monets, the Picassos, these huge pieces of artwork and masterpieces that we sell, this type of art can sell on the same level. And NFTs are legitimate enough for an auction house with 255 years of heritage to say, yes, we firmly believe that this is a place where this type of technology has a voice and a place and a platform. So I think, you know, it snowballed from there, hit every front page, every media outlet. You could not escape, you know, the name Beeple in March and the subsequent months. And so I think, you know, from there, it was not only artists, but every brand was talking about it. It was Charmin, Taco Bell, everyone was coming out with their version of an NFT. Digital creators all over were trying to take advantage of it. It was a bit of an NFT gold rush. And I think we've seen it settle a little bit more with, you know, the true creators and the creator economy and the brands that have a real role in it, the brands that Mickey was naming, the partners that we work with at Christie's, certainly the partners that Allison and her team work with at Genies. I think those are going to be the folks that are going to have a longevity within the NFT space. But I would say that people and the sale had a large part to play as well.
Definitely, definitely. And, you know, at the beginning of the year, you couldn't get away from it if you were looking at the NFT space. It was all about people, Christie's and NBA Top Shot. Now, you know, if we look at it though, you know, things have kind of like the explosion that happened over the summer, it was into these collections like CryptoPunks and Ethereum Rocks and Bored Apes. And these are selling for like millions of dollars, right? And these were not, you know, famous artists or big brands. And so, you know, there started to be a lot of voices out there that were saying that NFTs were more like a short-term fad for the rich and the famous, and it's more of like a flex opportunity online. So, you know, what do you guys think? I mean, Miko, what do you think about that? Do you think there's more to NFTs? And is it just flexing?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that's really important to understand is the power law distribution. And I think that's reflected very strongly in what Neda was saying about the $69 million sort of people art is sort of the extreme highest end. That's the tent pole, right? That's the thing that holds the whole thing up. But like when you talk about this kind of growth of something like NBA Top Shots, not to mention the upcoming NFL Top Shots, like that is a mass middle. That's a huge middle, right? But what I want to talk about actually is the long tail. So in your chart that you displayed, OpenSea was number one. Number two is Axie Infinity, right? So Axie Infinity actually has 2 million daily active users, right? And it's 23 million trailing 30 days active users, where MetaMask only has 10 million monthly active users, right? So it's really growing fast and it's really big. And that is the extreme long end of the tail, because those represent people that I call time investors, which is they have no money whatsoever. And the only thing they do have is investing their time. And you know, this is a really big, so if you think about the entire distribution, it's the head end, it's the middle, it's the whole tail. So I think that gives it the kind of staying power, right? Because there's tons of human attention coming into this space. So
Yeah.
that's exciting.
Yeah, Allison, you know, are you seeing like in the universe and metaverses that you're going to be putting together? Is this just for the rich and famous, or, you know, is there going to be like something more accessible for NFTs?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think the way that we've gone about it at Genies, and even, you know, why we decided to go with Flow and Dapper Labs as, you know, where we wanted to build, is creating kind of an accessible marketplace and ecosystem for the everyday user consumer. You know, I think even for Genies specifically, we kind of look at Gen Z and your everyday person as our long-term kind of target demographic. And so ensuring that we're, you know, leveraging NFT technology, you know, to make it more accessible and approachable to the everyday user and consumer, without them maybe even knowing that they're purchasing an NFT, but it does provide that true ownership and value for them, you know, as the end user.
Yeah, no, that's key. And that really, you know, takes it to the crux of the issue, is that this isn't really about, you know, just buying something expensive and showing it online. I mean, why people are so excited from my perspective is that there's digital ownership for the first time, you know, 25 years of us being online, all of a sudden you can own something, and there's provenance, there's the actual, people can go and look at it, they know you've got the original, they can trace it back to the creator. So what are you seeing, Mickey, with regard to this digital ownership? I mean, why are people buying these videos of people doing different kinds of shots and things like that? What's so exciting about that kind of ownership?
I think it's not the right question. And it's often that question is asked, but it's not the right question. The right question is, why does anyone buy anything like a baseball or a basketball card or any merchandise at all? Why would someone buy a poster and hang it on their wall? Why would I buy a physical basketball card? It's a psychological condition of the human that they want to own and be attached and showcase things that they're passionate about, that they're fans of. And in whatever way those things manifest themselves, the market decides. The market decides, hey, I'm a big NBA fan, I'm a big basketball fan, I'm gonna buy my favorite team's t-shirt, I'm gonna buy the basketball cards of my favorite players, etc. And then those, because the market starts to decide what is valuable or what is not, those things then start to accrue value. All NBA Top Shot is a innovation of ownership into the digital world that's tapping into this already existing psychological market, right? An NBA Top Shot experience is a much superior experience than collecting a cardboard, just a piece of cardboard with a picture on it. You have a 3D cube, you have a digital video as the collectible, and then it's digital, so you're showcasing it with millions of users. You have access to millions of users in the marketplace, not just your two buddies in your basement that you're kind of trading with or showing off. So it's just that mentality, that psychology, kind of on steroids in the digital world, and there's just so much more you can do with it in the digital world. So the key is that, and I'll 5 more seconds, I'll move on, but the key now is that the blockchain allows for that ownership to happen in a digital world. So it was just that technology that was needed to take that psychology into the digital world.
Yeah. And Neda, I guess that's what you're seeing as well. I mean, people have been collecting art for, a long time. So,
yeah, I would say in the art world, it serves, it satisfies a true need, right? So for us, there's 3 things that NFTs and housing that NFT on a blockchain really support, which have always been crucial in the art market. So the first is scarcity, and the one-of-one nature of an NFT, and being able to demonstrate in a transparent way that that is a true one-of-one is, super valuable in the art world. I think the second is authenticity. Again, authenticity is something that in the art market, especially when things transfer hands, it's incredibly important to know the transfer of property. And on the blockchain, again, there's transparency, you can track that, it's available to anyone, and it's digitally secure. So super invaluable to our marketplace. And then the third is provenance. So the history of where the transfer of property has been, and being able to track all that again on the blockchain, like that's the trifecta. That's amazing for us. And actually the first NFT we ever sold was in 2020 associated with the physical artwork. And that was our first kind of toe dip into, well, Beeple is not arguably, it's definitely the most famous example of an NFT that we sold in 2021. In 2020, we sold one associated with an artist named Robert Alice that was a experiment of how we could really use this blockchain technology to create the scarcity, the authenticity, and the provenance on the blockchain of a piece of art. So in the world that I operate in, which is the world of art and auction and rare objects, and now digital art as well, and collectible, what the blockchain offers is really bar none in terms of offering our clients that direct transparency in terms of where the art has been, who has owned it, and who is the owner of it. To the point that Mickey was bringing up, I think there's always the question of like want. Like, why does someone want something? That's such an ephemeral question, right? Like, no one can really answer that. What makes artists so subjective? Everyone says, well, you know, if I can copy paste a JPEG, sure, you can go buy a poster of the Mona Lisa down in Washington Square Park in New York City. That doesn't mean you own the Mona Lisa. And it's kind of the same analogy for me with an NFT. There is something raw about ownership that will always remain true, about owning that clip of an NBA player doing their thing, about owning a, you know, an opus of Beeple's 5,000 pieces of art that he, you know, really put his heart and soul into over 13 years. There's something to that ownership, and you either get that, and that is, you know, something that speaks to you, or you don't. And irrespective of where you stand in that argument, there's no arguing that the ownership is the piece that is always going to be core to someone's experience of whether or not they want to participate in that narrative.
Definitely, definitely. And blockchain is that disruptive technology that gives you that, you know, single source of truth that everybody can go to and agree on all of those different elements that you talked about. So thanks for all that discussion on NFTs. We're going to switch more talking about the metaverse. And I want to really start looking at this whole play to earn area, right? Because that's kind of the first toe dip into the metaverse, because taking the online gaming world and then saying, hey, you can own these individual, you know, items within the game, and you can actually go and do stuff with those items, and you can make money. So the question is, you know, if we look at Axie, they've done $2 billion, you know, in transactions over the course of this year, which is just unbelievable, right? And that is actually, you hear that people are making money off of this, and that's their career. They go to work, right? In the morning, they battle monsters. So Miko, is this, you know, the future of work? Or is this, as some people say, a Ponzi scheme? You know, are people going to be bag holders here? Or what is this? Is this something else?
Yeah, so I think one thing I really wanted to underline is that, you know, Neda talked about ownership, and I think ownership is the critical ingredient, because when we see visions of the future metaverse, you see people like Mark Zuckerberg, you know, talking about Retina VR, and he's talking about how exciting it's going to be. He's describing what in Ready Player One is a company called IOI, right? Which is a completely centrally controlled dystopian corporate metaverse, right? So the idea that there's decentralized ownership is super exciting, and that's what makes it an open metaverse, right? And I think all of us are kind of supporting this on this panel, and we're all supporting blockchain because that substrate means inclusion, right? So if you look at what YGG has pioneered, it's the provision of a scholarship which combines capital with labor, right? So this scholarship allows pure time investors, which is people who have nothing to invest but their time, and they can suddenly become participants in a skill game. So it eliminates the blockchain pay to win game, and it creates a skill game. And the most, I will mark my words, the most skilled blockchain investors in the future are going to be time investors, and they're going to be living in places like the Philippines, like Indonesia, like these, the mass that is coming from these regions to play this skill game called blockchain are going to be, you know, very sizable eventual owners of this metaverse.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And, you know, that view is basically that it's the little person, right? That is out there and is going to be, you know, creating the metaverse through their actions and their activities. On the other hand, you know, we do have a lot of brands, you know, that are getting involved. And Genies, you know, you mentioned, Allison, that you're working with quite a few influencers and brands that are interested in this metaverse concept. So why are the brands interested? Why are the influencers wanting to get in too?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think taking a step back, if we look at the metaverse, it really is kind of the intersection and interconnectivity of both the digital and the physical world. And I think Even back to your first question, the pandemic, I think, really expedited all of that in how people are connecting online. They're spending more and more of their time in these play to earn games or purchasing NFTs, spending time in decentralized platforms and building their online identity. And so I think as all of this technology continues to evolve, we're going to become more and more connected in the metaverse and digital space. And how people represent themselves. And so I think brands, brands, IP, celebrities, whoever it might be, they're obviously a player in that space, just like they are in the physical world. I think what's important and what we say with a lot of our partners is how they enter the space. I think given the nature of blockchain, NFTs, decentralized metaverse, brands have to be very careful about how they're entering the space authentically. It's not just another advertisement or a sponsorship, but how are they actually building on, the innovation and the technology and coming in, providing real value for people in innovative ways. And, for Genies, like you said, we are starting to work with all the celebrity talent, we work with brands and IP, but eventually we're looking to kind of decentralize the tools that we work with these partners, where anyone can create their own avatar wearable NFTs or content or, leverage their identity throughout the metaverse.
I would just add, for anyone out there who's wondering about how do I get involved in NFTs or how do I participate in this conversation? What Allison was saying about the community is a really important point. There is nothing more critical to this conversation than engaging with the community and being authentic with the community. If you want to learn about this space, go on Twitter, listen to podcasts, whatever your kind of informational stream of choice is. Discord is really hard, but if you love it there, go there, and just listen for a while, and then start to speak and start to participate. And it's a really welcoming, engaging, generous community. They want people to get excited about this space. They are really excited to teach other people about this space, but be willing to learn and be willing to be authentic. I think the worst thing a brand or a company can do is try to manipulate NFTs for their own purposes. It comes across so fake. It is very antagonizing to a community of people who've worked really hard. And I'm sure Mickey has a lot of experience with this, trying to find the right partnerships and trying to do it in the right way that feels appropriate with the brands. It's like a very small eye of a needle that you have to thread. You have to do it carefully. We've learned that lesson with Christie's as well. Allison, I'm sure you're doing a lot of that work, but the community will be generous if you will be generous with them. So if anyone's out there thinking how do I engage? How do I start? Go listen and learn, and then the community will help you get started.
Yeah, and I think just one quick comment is that really goes back to a lot of the blockchain ethos, and the blockchain ethos is really about decentralization. It's equal access for everyone. It's transparency. It's about everybody working together to build something. It's people being compensated, for what they're doing, and it's really this kind of open source, open community, and it drives everything. It's a totally different ethos and network from Web 2.0, right? Which is very much centralized and one thing that's doing stuff and everybody else kind of just passive. But I think someone else had a comment. Was it Mickey that you had a comment?
I have a couple, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah, so to your point, Jordan, that's really also when we're talking about ownership, we're thinking about the ownership of the asset or the NFT. But really where this place gets, or this space gets special, is the ownership, community ownership of a project, right? When the entire community, and that's why it's so community centric, because everyone has a piece of the pie. Everyone has ownership in the project somehow, whether it's tokens from play to earn, whether it's NFTs, or whether it's something that hasn't even been created yet to give ownership to the community. But that's what this space is all about. And then to what Neda was speaking about, how to get started in the space, et cetera. There are very innovative entrepreneurial companies or platforms. There's a couple going to be launching on Flow soon here. There's one called Cheese, and there's another one called, I think, Everbloom. And really, they're just, hey, come in, create your series of NFTs. You know, you're an artist, you're a hobbyist, come in and create a series of NFTs and go out and sell them. So, you know, my son's 7, he loves drawing art. I'm going to, you know, as soon as these projects are live, I'm going to start throwing his art on the blockchain, and maybe someday I'll give it to Neda to sell at Christie's. You never know. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of innovation coming in the space, and a lot of it is, hey, this is going mass market. How do we make it more mass market? How do we make it more approachable, and make it easier for anyone to participate?
Yeah, and you know, in the last question, just for everybody to, you know, jump in, is, you know, the metaverse, people say it's coming, right? Maybe it's real, maybe it's a pipe dream, but you know, what do each of you see as that vision for the metaverse, and you know, what are people going to be doing in it? You know, Miko, did you want to get us kicked off?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think that the metaverse is really about this transformation of the economy. So to me, I think the thing that's exciting to me about YGG is that it is the first metaverse decentralized labor union, right? So it to me, ownership is absolutely the base. And I think what people are going to be doing is owning things, you know. And to me, this idea, I think Allison talked about Gen Z. Like, I think Gen Z is so interesting because I think if you look at everything that you can put your hands and your feet on, like the boomers own it, right? So like, I think Gen Z is pretty sick of all of that, and I think they're ready to own their own universe. So I think that's something that I think is coming.
Yeah, definitely. Allison, your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as the metaverse as a whole, like I said, it to me is the interconnectivity of the physical and digital worlds. I don't think it'll ever fully replace the physical world, but I do think, you know, in what we're seeing with all of the innovation and the technological advances, with, you know, online interactions and the digital space, it really provides a place for people to play, explore, innovate, build communities, make connections in ways that can't be done in the physical world. And I think that's really probably one of the most exciting aspects of it, you know, aside from the ownership side as well. But, you know, people being able to represent themselves differently in the digital world than maybe they would in the physical world because they're not comfortable, or they can really show their truest authentic self, or connecting with people globally like we are right now, you know, that you can't necessarily do in the physical world, or even experiencing moments or creating new things that again can't be possible in the physical world. So I think that, you know, is kind of the very exciting aspect of what we're all building here with the metaverse.
Awesome. Neda?
I'm gonna steal from my esteemed colleague Noah Davis, who Jordan you saw on and Allison you saw on a panel last night, talking about NFTs, and he said what excites him most about the metaverse, and I wholeheartedly agree with this, is it's our opportunity to create our version of a utopia, right? We are all creating it together, and NFTs are kind of the key to entering into that community. And so it's a chance for us all to shape it together. No one's shaping it for us. There's no, you know, big hand. It is decentralized. So I think it's a chance for us. I think to Allison's point, we'll always live in a hybrid world. It's not going to take over. I don't think this is going to be Ready Player One, or at least I have hopes that it won't be. But I do think it will be a second home for a lot of us in the future. And I think we have an opportunity to all participate in what that home looks and feels like. And it's a really exciting moment for us to shape that community together and to be a part of it. And I think NFTs can be a key to entrance and an early adoption key to entrance into that space.
Awesome. And Mickey?
I just want to, Miko, are you and I now boomers? Is that kind of where we're at?
Do we own stuff?
Well, I mean, we're older, so are we now in that category? I don't know. I hope not.
Gen X.
Anyway, metaverse, we're already here. The real beauty of the space is the smart contracts and the openness of those things. Really what they are is open APIs, which allows the community or anyone to build on top of any project, which makes anything a platform by default. So you can think of smart contracts as Lego building blocks. That's already happening. The DeFi space is the metaverse. What is the visualization layer? I don't know. Who cares? Probably holograms at some point. But the metaverse is here, and over the next year or two, it will become very, very apparent how it manifests itself.
Yeah, and if we follow through on the projections, it's basically going to be an overlay, and there can be multiple metaverses, just like there are multiple online worlds. And so you could actually, live in different kinds of metaverses if you want, or just one. I think some of these, like Ready Player One and others, have this kind of centralized version that there's just one of everything. But if you're, decentralized, and there's a lot of different communities that we're all part of, right? We can be part of multiple worlds. We can be part of multiple, kind of communities, and so it gives us community to kind of create. A lot of people in the conference have been talking about these decentralized networks of networks, right? And so I think however it plays out, we'll have a lot more opportunities, and there will be another vision that we can live in and with, and if we don't like it, we move somewhere else. So I'm looking forward to it, and it's been, like Radhika said, 15 years since I've been thinking and trying to build stuff in the metaverse. So I'm ready. So with that, I don't know if we've got some questions. I know we only have maybe 2 or 3 more minutes. And Neda, I know you probably need to go. So if you need to jump, feel free. But do we have any questions from the audience? All right. So what are some pluses and minuses about NFTs for creators? Does someone want to take that? Allison or Miko? If you're a creator, what's great about an NFT and what's maybe not so great?
I mean, I think of a creator as being a time investor, right? And the thing that I think people suddenly recognize with play to earn is the idea that a human's time is a non-fungible asset that belongs to them. That is basically an assertion of sovereignty, right? So for a creator, what they're doing is they're converting their non-fungible time into a non-fungible asset, right? So in a sense, that is the pinnacle of this entire experience. I mean, I think Allison, the idea of an avatar and avatar customization is exactly that, which is that every person becomes kind of sort of creating their unique expression, right? So I think, to me, like, creators definitely will find lots of pluses. I think right now the big minuses are that there's cumbersome apparatus. So I think a lot of creative individuals, I have artist friends trying to engage with this, are finding technical roadblocks and complexity, and so I think that's currently, it's janky. That's the current minus.
I would say another minus is the plus is this: you can connect with your fans more directly. You can monetize your likeness. You can open up all kinds of access between you and your fans. But the big minus from my standpoint is if it's not authentic and you don't really think it through, and it's not true and core to who you are, what your fans want, it's going to come off as a money grab. And if it comes off as a money grab, it's going to hurt your reputation. So when you're doing something as a creator, make sure it's authentic, make sure it speaks to your audience.
Well, thank you for that. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. I know we could go on for quite a long time, and it would be great, in the future, we'll have another, discussion where we can, see where things are and take our discussions to the next level. So thank you all very much. Mickey, Miko, Allison, Neda, it was awesome. Really loved getting your different perspectives. And I'm sure the audience, is going to feel the same. So thanks again.
Thanks, Jordan.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan.
Thank you, Jordan, Mickey, Miko, Neda, and Allison. This was a fantastic panel.